Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here for another gear review, and today on this sunny mountaintop, we're talking sun shirts. All the sun shirts. Before we dive into some of these, just broad strokes, what are they? Why would you want one? Well, sun is real and so is skin cancer, so being able to keep the sun off you, especially prolonged outdoor activities, whether it's backpacking or hanging out at the beach, fishing, any of these different things, yeah, there's benefit to that. And it's something that allows you to throw essentially a layer on and not have to put sunscreen on, which can be nice, especially depending on what you're doing. And also just quick and easy if you don't have access to sunscreen and for whatever reason. But we will get into, I guess, largely some of the different features of ones, and yeah, go over some of the different ones that I have. We'll start with similarities across pretty much all your sun shirts. They're gonna have some sort of material. Usually it's like this polyester. Usually there's some stretch to it, and it's basically a UPF 50 or whatever material, meaning it's stopping largely most of the harmful rays that are coming down from the sun. And this one I think is actually made, yeah, this one's Polartec, some are some other off-brand fabric doing the same thing. And this one right here happens to be from Tactical Distributors, part of their MTHD, Mountain Tundra Water Desert line. And yeah, they're all pretty much lightweight with this pretty thin stretch material. And pretty much all of them are gonna have a hood because you want to keep the sun off of you. And all of the hoods largely are pretty form-fitting. When you put them on, it's not like a fashion hood. They're form-fitting. Again, the idea of keeping the sun off. And then you'll get into just kind of different or small differences depending on the shirt. For example, this one right here, I don't know if you can see it very well. There's a little built-in, well, I'll put it on this way. There's a little built-in visor. Is that important? I mean, I guess, how much sun am I stopping with that? Whereas honestly, usually when it's sunny, unless I'm like playing in the ocean, I probably have a hat on because I'm trying to keep the sun off. So that visor, for me personally, honestly, doesn't really do anything other than maybe help it stay in place over my hat. Other things you'll see is oftentimes on the sleeve, see if this one has it, yeah. So there's basically a thumb loop. So you can punch your thumb through here. Usually you'll see these on technical layers that are made to be layered, as in you don't want the sleeve to ride up when you're putting on like a shell over it or something like that. Not usually the case with these in my experience, but I will actually use those in places where I don't want the sleeves to ride up because I'm trying to limit sun exposure. This shirt right here doesn't have them. I think some of the other ones do, but again, just different features. And something I think actually unique to this Tactical Distributors one also is there's basically a little kind of pocket in here like you'd have on like a hoodie. And is it useful? Totally depends on application. It can be handy just if you're standing around in the sun, throw your hands in there, or for that matter, just somewhere to shove something for a minute. I wouldn't run around carrying like a cell phone in there, but if you need your hands free or something, you can obviously dump something in there for a minute. Again, comes down to kind of personal preference. Ivan, why do you have so many sun shirts? Oh, some I've been given, some I've actually bought. This one right here is by Bayleaf, I think, something like that, from Amazon. Probably one of the more affordable ones. Again, has a hood, no pockets or anything like that. Has, I think on here, yep, thumb loops, so you can push your thumb through that, keep the sleeves all the way up if that's important. This other one right here by SureFire, pretty simple hood. I don't think it has thumb loops on this. SureFire logo. Again, just different varieties. As I mentioned, or I haven't mentioned, this one right here that I'm wearing is actually by Prometheus Design Works. I think it is their Helios sun shirt. I already showed you kind of that little visor built in, which I don't find terribly useful, but yeah, definitely keeps the sun off. And there's one other one that probably one of my favorites. And when I say favorites, keep in mind that is tempered with application. For example, probably really cool to drive a Formula One car. Not going to go get groceries in it because 100 octane is expensive. But for out in the mountains, especially kind of later in the season when you get a lot of bugs and stuff like that, this is absolutely probably my favorite. This one right here is by Sitka, and it's cool. It is a sun shirt. It's also kind of a technical layer. So some of the things that are nice is I'll usually put this on and I'll hike with it because trying to keep the sun off, and especially the time of year I was talking about, trying to keep the bugs off. And so while this is a sun shirt, it's also treated with whatever this stuff is that will keep the bugs off of you, which I really like because one, having to put sunscreen on, like avoid that over large parts of my body, and two, having to not have to put insect repellent on, also a huge bonus. And especially while moving under load, backpacking, stuff like that, you can unzip this zipper. It comes down, probably like quarter zip. I'll probably just throw this thing on in a second to show you. But that's nice to mechanically vent. And while the sleeves, this one doesn't have like a slit in there necessarily, it actually just has this little elastic loop. So you can punch your thumb through that to keep this in place so it doesn't ride up when you're moving, doing activities. And then we also have, which honestly never use, but a little breast pocket over here on your right breast. If you want to put something in there, I don't know, maybe your keys if you're running or something. Never used it. But then the other thing is, bam, sweet ninja mask, which, yeah, I'll just put this on and show you. As I mentioned, this zips all the way down, which is great to mechanically vent. Got the little thumb straps on there, so sleeves aren't going to ride up. And then I'll take the auto off because otherwise it'll be garbage when I throw this thing like fully on. And now I'm basically a ninja, invisible to the bugs. Of course, as I mentioned, it really comes down to use case though. This guy, probably not going to hang out at the beach in it, just don't need it. And if I'm not going to be using those zippers like to mechanically vent when backpacking, frankly, I don't want them on it. But then also like that front pocket on here. If I'm going to be spending a bunch of time swimming in the ocean, probably don't need it, it's just causing drag. Keep in mind all of these, whether you're surf fishing or like myself, go play around. Like we'd sit there and surf fish with my boys. We were in Baja not too long ago, and then we'd be like, hey, let's go spear fishing. We're gonna keep our sun shirt on. And so none of these are the best for swimming because you have a hood that's gonna create drag. This one happens to have like a front hand pocket. Again, maybe not ideal for that activity. This one I actually used, did a good job. And yeah, I've put in a lot of time with these, whether just out backpacking or spending time on the ocean. Really cool video, I'll try and link to it. Went to Cabo a couple years ago now for Thanksgiving, like over that break with my boys, and my mom took us down there. So cool. And my oldest son and I spent a bunch of time fishing out on the ocean. He caught a marlin, and I think he might have been wearing this one and I was wearing this one. Did great, kept the sun off of us. And as I mentioned recently, again, down in Cabo, or just backpacking trips out in the backcountry where this is huge, especially when the bugs are bad. And being able to enjoy those places, not get sunburnt, and in this case, not get eaten alive by bugs, pretty important. All of them, a little bit different features, really comes down to what you're looking for. And there'll be links down below if you would like to check any of these out. But overall, if you are going to spend time out in the sun and don't want to have to continually put on and reapply sunscreen, other than maybe hands or face, I would look into sun shirts. They're pretty cool. Also, quick note with respect to backpacking and stuff like that, you're like, man, I don't want to wear long sleeve anything. It's actually nice. And they're not, this is not an insulation layer. They're not hot, but as soon as you start to sweat because of exertion or just it's really hot out, it actually has a really nice cooling effect that is going to be better than if you, I don't know, had just some short sleeve t-shirt on or something like that. So something to keep in mind. But links down below if you'd like to check any of it out. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time. The fighter. Peanut, help me reel this in.